faces on TV thanks to his role on the multi-award-winning comedy Schitt's Creek.
Yes, he's also a talented musician. He's released his second album earlier this year. We go all the way now to Toronto to welcome Noah Reid. Noah, great to have you with us on the show. I'm a huge fan of Schitt's Creek. I'm addicted. And for people, I suppose, I think nobody hasn't seen it. But give us the background to Schitt's Creek.
Okay, well, for those who are late to the party, it's a story of the Rose family, wealthy family, who loses everything due to a negligent business manager, and the only asset they have left in the world is this small town that they bought as a joke called Schitt's Creek, and so they move there and have to start all over again and get to know each other, I guess.
Yeah, and Noah, you came to this series, or the show in series 3. Were you a fan before you became part of the show?
I've been made fun of a lot by Dan Levy for not having watched the show before I got the job. And when I got the job, I thought, well, I could really mess with my own head if I start to watch it now. So I had to wait until after I had finished shooting season 3 to dig in. And it turned out it's kind of a good show.
That's really interesting, actually, because you hadn't watched then the move of the Rose family, living in the motel. You didn't know their kind of background. You had to almost learn it as a character.
Yeah, well, I could kind of justify my own laziness that way. I think if I thought about how Patrick wouldn't know these people, he was new to the party, so it would be new for him. It would be new for me too. So I could justify it as an acting choice. You know?
Patrick has been new to a lot of different parties because you start out you're straight and then you go down a different road.
Yeah, well, I think the character is hasn't experienced the level of attraction or that feeling that he has towards David Rose with anybody else in that way before, and I have a ton of respect to how open he is to listening to himself and being comfortable enough in his own skin to follow his instincts.
David, of course, who is, of course, your partner, then becomes your husband on the show, is such a good character in the sense that he's kind of very pretty, but quite kind behind it all. But it was everybody, I suppose, was talking about the wedding and how you sang, how you serenaded him at the wedding, how Patrick serenaded him, I should say.
Yeah, that was a sweet little touch. Obviously, the Mariah Carey reference was something that was built into another big moment in their relationship when they first told each other that they loved each other. Or I guess that Patrick said that he loved David, and David said, well, I've never said that to anyone except for my parents a couple of times and once at a Mariah Carey concert. So this notion of David being Patrick's Mariah, or Patrick being David's Mariah Carey, or vice versa, was kind of a nice little throwback at the wedding to have that song in there.
Yeah, no, just about in real life then, your wife Claire, what does she think about you playing this character? Is she saying, here, no boy, don't be getting any notions?
Well, she and Dan are friends, and they often make jokes about how Dan married me before Claire did. So that's always a good bit of
You've been there.
Yeah.
We just saw a lovely photo, of course, your beach wedding there with Claire. Was it difficult deciding to go ahead and get married during lockdown? Because was it July you got married?
It was July, and it was difficult leading up to it. We weren't sure if the restrictions were going to ease in time. We did have a sense that numbers were starting to dip, and they had predicted that the summer would be a bit of a lull in COVID. But yeah, it was difficult leading up to it. But on the day, it was just such a magical day to have some celebration in a time when that hasn't really been super possible.
Yeah. No, you had fantastic success at the Emmys. Was it great to get one over the neighbours? Because we always look at America when it comes to comedy, and you're Canadian, and sometimes you can be left to the side. Was it good to get one over the neighbours?
I don't know that we thought about it that way specifically, but we were enjoying ourselves for sure. I think with of course, with everything nowadays, we would have loved to have been there in the big room, holding the trophies and shaking hands and smiling with all the famous people. But we had a blast in our little tent ourselves, and we were able to, because the restrictions were eased enough in Toronto at that time, we were able to actually be together, where a lot of shows weren't able to do that. So yeah, it was a magical night. I won't forget it. What I can remember of it, I won't forget.
But that's really important, actually. The not remembering is part of it, really. The characters in the show, and I suppose the personalities, I would say they're really good fun in real life. For example, Moira Rose, of course, Catherine O'Hara. People would forget that. Wasn't she in Home Alone? She was the mother in Home Alone.
I had a crush on Moira when I was younger.
She's beautiful. But even still
is.
I'd say they're great fun, and Eugene Levy as well. Or Levy, I should say.
They're two of the finest people I think I've ever met. Incredible comedic presences in our country and around the world, but also just such fine people. From day one on the set, they always made everyone, myself included, feel very welcome, feel valued, feel like their work and their voice mattered in the room. And yeah, I miss hanging out with them, but it's such a fun time when all of the cast can get together and look back on what we've done.
Noah, are you an actor or a musician first?
I don't know. I think it's a tough call these days. I'm kind of split down the middle. Depends on the day.
And where did you start? I mean, I know I was just looking back on a lot of your career. You've done an awful lot, voiceovers and I suppose animation, everything from the past. But did you start, because you're a great piano player, did you begin very young with the music?
Yeah, I guess I started probably playing the piano when I was about 5 or 6, and that would be around the time I started acting too. So the two went hand in hand for a while. I did a lot of musicals when I was a kid because I loved singing. But nowadays I've realized that the musical world there's some interesting crossover for me in terms of acting and music, but by and large, they sort of happen in their own worlds, and I get to just sort of shift between them, which is kind of nice.
I think you'll find that, and more, you'll find it a lot with some brilliant actors. They're also great singers and great musicians as well.
You don't realise.
And it's only because we get so used to seeing someone in a character like Patrick in Schitt's Creek, and all of a sudden, Patrick starts singing, you're going, oh my God, this guy can really sing.
He didn't just rehearse one song kind of thing, But it is brilliant. But your new album as well, Honesty, I mean, it's just, the single we're going to hear is called Honesty, of course, from Gemini, which is the new album. It sounds, I suppose, a little bit Bruce Springsteen. I've heard that being said, and maybe the kind of folksy element of David Gray.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of references. Springsteen's certainly a name that comes up a lot, I think, because we incorporated some synthy stuff in this too, and the boss was keen on doing that in his time, and that's a reference I'll take all day. But it was really fun to be in the studio working on this, and I feel like Gemini as a record, I had learned a lot from watching Dan on set, trying to wear as many hats and make creative decisions and follow his instincts and all of that stuff. So I felt like I had inherited a little bit of leadership capability, and my good friend Matt Barber produced the record, and we just had a blast doing it. I'm going back into studio in a few weeks to get started on a third one.
No, we're going to have a listen to Honesty in a second, but before, just tell us about this song.
Yeah, I wrote this song when my wife Claire and I were just getting together, and this video was shot at my first show in Toronto at a place called the Great Hall. And man, it makes me very nostalgic for a time when people could gather and listen to music in a concert hall.
Don't we?
Yeah, but even watching it at the video itself, it's a very unusual shooting kind of process.
Yeah, a really good friend of mine named Michael Cedar came to the show and shot this on a little DV camera, and his partner Andrew Gilbride cut it together, and I just think it's such a great energetic feel of the cut and the shoot, and it's a document for me that I'll just remember that night forever now,
Yeah,
which we're going to start trying to claim, when people become really famous. Irish people. We have Joe Biden, we've claimed him, but we believe that you're part Irish.
You're one of us.
Right? You're one of us now.
Listen, I'm happy to be included. When I was in Ireland years ago, I really felt this sense of ancestral belonging that I think a lot of Canadians feel. And I think, from the outside, I just look like an American wearing an Aran Island sweater and a Donegal tweed cap. So I'm glad to be included.
Yeah, and no, we were both delighted to hear that you went to the Aran Islands and you
both
went
our places.
and to Dingle as well when you were here.
Yeah, well, I'd love to go back. I mean, Inishmore is such an incredible place, and Dingle is beautiful too. But I hear the dolphin's not there anymore.
No. So
if you sing, though, he might come back. We're trying everything to get that dolphin back. But if you sing to him like you sang to David, he might come back in the bay.
come here. So you prefer the Aran Islands over Dingle? Did I hear you correctly there?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing.
I have to get you a Dingle jumper.
No, just finally, when you were here, I believe you met Glenn Hansard.
Yeah, that was on another moment where a good friend of mine, Andrew Shaver, was in Dublin and said, hey, do you want to go to this bar and watch Glenn play? And it was just this tiny little bar, and he was just sitting back there with some friends jam, and I was like, my God, I can't believe I'm this close to such a legend playing
unfortunately,
playing through Astro Weeks.
There are no bars open here at the moment. What's it like in Toronto? Can you go out to eat? Can you have a drink in the pubs at the moment there?
Only if you really feel like sitting outside and freezing. It's getting quite cold out here. The run on patio heaters is it's a pretty serious thing. You can't find them anywhere now.
I guess. No, we also hope that we might see you. Hopefully everything will be different. You know, vaccines on the rise and the whole lot. You're planning a tour of Ireland. Is it next year?
Well, hopefully. I mean, all up in the air now, but I can't wait to get over there and play. I mean, Ireland has such an incredible musical tradition and history, and it's present too. So I'm very excited to get over and play some songs in Ireland.
Well, Noah, the two weirdos in the front row will be Maura and myself.
Oh, yeah,
please wave to us.
I just love the music. It really is, especially that track, Honesty. Because I saw some of your stuff you did from home as well during lockdown, and more the sedate, I suppose, stuff yourself and just the piano. But Honesty is just a real driving song. You know, that feeling. It's great. Noah, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you. Great to talk to you.
It's my pleasure.
Great
guys.
to have you.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck.
Take care.
What a nice guy.
He is a nice guy. Have you watched Schitt's Creek?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the first series.
God.
I haven't seen Noah in it yet, so I'm looking forward to getting to season 3.
He's great. Well, of course, Noah's latest single, Honesty, we heard a little bit of it there, and his second album is called Gemini. They're available now on Spotify.